Okay, real talk. Have you ever been like totally stressing over a cocktail menu, trying to figure out which drink won't completely wreck your calorie goals?
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm not alone here.
Definitely not.
Sometimes you just want to have a little fun without the guilt trip, right?
Right.
So that's what this deep dive is all about.
Yeah.
We're breaking down the top 10 lowest calorie alcohols and cocktails so you can indulge a little smarter.
Exactly. And you know what's funny? A lot of people think low-calorie drinks automatically means boring or tasteless.
Yeah, right.
But honestly, with a few smart swaps and maybe some insider tips, you can totally have your cocktail and enjoy it too, without like totally blowing your calorie budget.
All right, I love that. So
Mhm.
before we get into our countdown, I'm curious, like when we talk about healthy drinking, what are the most important things our listeners should keep in mind?
Well, I think first and foremost, moderation is absolutely key. The standard guidelines usually suggest up to 1 drink per day for women and up to 2 for men. But beyond that, it's really about being aware of what's actually in your glass. Those mixers can be really sneaky. They're often loaded with sugar that you might not even realize is there.
Okay, so ditch the sugary mixers.
Yeah.
Got it. Now let's get to the fun part. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the classic vodka soda. Simple, refreshing, but tell me what makes this drink such a low-calorie champ?
Well, vodka itself is already pretty low in calories compared to some other liquors.
Okay.
And when you mix it with plain soda water, you're basically adding 0 calories. Plus, I think people tend to sip vodka sodas a bit more slowly, which kind of naturally helps with portion control.
It's true. I do sip those slower.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Fewer calories. I like it. Okay, moving on to number 9, champagne. Now this one might surprise some folks. Isn't champagne full of sugar?
It doesn't have to be. It really all depends on the type of champagne you choose. Look for brut or extra brut on the label. Those basically mean it's a dry champagne with very little residual sugar from the whole fermentation process.
Okay.
And trust me, dry champagne can be just as celebratory as the sweeter stuff.
So if it tastes like a juice box, probably not the best option if you're watching calories.
Got it. All right, at number 8, we've got a drink that I am not familiar with. Ranch water. What is this mysterious concoction?
Ranch water is super trendy right now, and for good reason. It's so refreshing and way lower in calories than a margarita.
Okay.
It's basically tequila, lime juice, and Topo Chico mineral water. That's it. But the key here is to use good quality 100% agave tequila.
Okay.
Otherwise, you might be getting some added sugars that you don't want.
Our sources also mention this better for you Paloma recipe.
Oh,
Is that something worth checking out?
Totally. It's like a cool twist on the classic Paloma, using fresh grapefruit juice and grapefruit seltzer instead of all that sugary soda.
So you get all that zesty citrus flavor without the extra calories.
All right, I'm intrigued. Might have to try that one. Now let's raise a glass to our beer lovers out there. At number 7, we have light beer. But are all light beers created equal? I feel like some can still be pretty heavy on the calories.
Yeah, you're right. Not all light beers are created equal. They usually aim to cut out about 50 calories compared to regular beers,
Okay.
but there can be some differences.
Right.
A good rule of thumb is lighter in color usually means lighter in calories.
Okay.
So something like a Corona Light would be a decent choice, but, there's also non-alcoholic options that are worth considering.
That's true. Our sources even highlighted one specifically.
Yeah.
The Upside Down Golden from Athletic Brewing Co. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, they're doing some really cool things with those non-alcoholic brews.
Yeah, they are.
And that Upside Down comes in at a shockingly low 45 calories per can.
Wow.
It's a great choice for anyone who's cutting back on alcohol or just looking for a lighter option.
Now that's what I call a win-win. All right, coming in at number 6, rosé. But seriously, can this trendy drink really be low calorie?
It can, but just like with champagne, it's all about making smart choices.
Yeah.
Look for dry rosés, especially those from regions known for making those drier styles like France or Italy.
Okay.
They naturally have less residual sugar, which keeps those calories down. And if you really want to get into it, you could even explore the world of natural roses.
Okay, now I'm curious. What makes a natural rosé different?
Natural rosés are basically made without any added sugars or sulfites. It's like a pure expression of the grape, which often gives you a lighter, fresher flavor. Our sources actually recommended a specific bottle, the Echeverria No Espituco Natural Rosé.
Wow, that's specific.
Yeah.
Definitely writing that down.
It's worth trying if you're looking for a truly low-calorie, clean-tasting rosé.
Okay, mental note made. Now let's move on to number 5, the classic gin and tonic. But wait, there's a twist. The diet version. What's the secret here?
So the magic happens when you swap regular tonic water for the diet kind. Regular tonic water is actually surprisingly high in sugar, which can really mess with your calorie goals.
That's sneaky.
Yeah, so using diet tonic can save you a ton of calories. And, some people even use seltzer or club soda instead.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Is that a good option?
It is. Seltzer or club soda is a great way to lighten up a gin and tonic. You get that nice bubbly base without all those extra calories from the regular tonic. And the best part is you can get really creative with flavors.
Oh, I love that. What are some good ways to jazz up a seltzer-based gin and tonic?
Fresh garnishes are your best friend.
Okay.
Think cucumber slices, rosemary sprigs, a squeeze of lime, maybe some grapefruit. They add so much flavor and complexity without adding any sugar or calories.
Okay, I'm definitely trying that next time. Now, you mentioned earlier that dry wines are generally lower in calories, but the world of wine can be so overwhelming.
I know.
Are there any specific types of dry white wines you'd recommend?
Absolutely. Sauvignon Blanc is always a great go-to. It's nice and crisp, refreshing, and it usually has fewer calories than other white wines. Pinot Grigio is another good option. It's light-bodied with those subtle, fruity flavors. And of course, you can't go wrong with a classic Chardonnay, especially if you pick one that's unoaked.
So many choices. Now, what about red wines? Any standouts in the low-calorie category?
If you're into those lighter-bodied, lower-calorie reds, Beaujolais is a really nice choice. It's made with Gamay grapes, and it's known for its bright, fruity flavors and low tannins. Another one to try is Dolcetto. It's an Italian red that has kind of a bitter almond note, which adds nice complexity.
I'm making a mental note of all of these. Now, earlier we were talking about making a martini lower in calories by skipping the vermouth. And I have to admit, I always thought vermouth was like a key part of a martini. What does it really bring to the drink?
Well, you're right. Vermouth does have a traditional role in a martini. It adds a bit of herbal complexity and a touch of sweetness to balance out the dryness of the gin or vodka, but it does add those extra calories. So leaving it out makes it like a super pure, spirit-forward martini experience. Some people prefer it that way.
Wow, I never realized what a difference that little bit of vermouth could make.
It's those little details that count, right?
Totally.
And speaking of details, when it comes to making a lower-calorie hot toddy, that's where paying attention to detail really matters.
Yeah, we talked about using less whiskey and honey, but are there any other tweaks that can make a big difference?
One of my favorite tricks is to really play up the flavors with spices. Cinnamon sticks, star anise, cloves, things like that.
Yeah.
They add a ton of warmth and aroma, but they also help you feel more satisfied with less sweetness. You could even try infusing the whiskey with those spices beforehand, just for another layer of flavor.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's like a DIY flavor infusion. So it's not just about like subtracting calories, it's also about adding in those things that make you really savor every sip.
Exactly, and that's really the whole point of healthy drinking, right?
Yeah.
It's about finding a balance between actually enjoying yourself and being mindful of what you're putting in your body.
Well said. This has been incredibly helpful. I'm feeling inspired to get a little creative with my own cocktails at home now.
Awesome, that's great to hear. Experimentation is key. And, another thing people often forget when they're focusing on calories is the quality of the ingredients.
That's true. We get caught up in the numbers,
Yeah,
but the actual ingredients make a big difference.
huge difference. Choosing high-quality spirits, fresh juices, natural sweeteners, all of that makes the experience so much better, and it's better for you overall.
I'm definitely taking notes.
Good. And beyond the specifics of each drink, I think it's helpful to have a bit of a mindset shift when it comes to healthy drinking.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me about this mindset shift.
It's about getting away from that all or nothing kind of thinking. You don't have to choose between being totally strict all the time or going overboard on the weekends. It's about finding a happy medium where you can still enjoy those fun social moments and those delicious flavors, but you're also making choices that support your overall well-being.
I love that. It's like giving yourself permission to enjoy life, but doing it in a way that feels good and balanced.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's a philosophy that can really apply to all aspects of life, not just drinking.
So true. This has been such a great conversation.
It has been. I've enjoyed it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break to refresh our glasses, but when we come back, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts, and I've got a really interesting question to leave you thinking about. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. I'm ready to get into some more nitty-gritty details about these surprisingly low-calorie drinks. There's a lot more to uncover.
I'm all ears. Let's start with vodka. You mentioned earlier that lower-proof vodkas tend to have fewer calories. Why is that?
Well, it basically comes down to the alcohol content. Most vodkas are 80 proof, which means 40% alcohol by volume, or ABV.
Right.
But there are some brands out there, like Someri lower proof vodka, that are intentionally made at a lower proof, like around 27.5% ABV.
Okay.
And since alcohol itself has calories, a lower ABV means fewer calories per shot.
So if you're really serious about cutting calories, looking for a lower proof vodka could be a good strategy.
Exactly. It's all about those little adjustments that add up over time. And, this idea of lower ABV isn't just for vodka. We're seeing more and more spirits offering lighter options for people who are watching their calories.
That's interesting. It's like the whole beverage industry is getting a low-cal makeover. Speaking of makeovers, let's go back to the gin and tonic. We talked about swapping regular tonic for diet tonic, but I've also heard people using seltzer or club soda instead. What do you think about that?
I love that idea. Seltzer or club soda is a fantastic way to lighten up a gin and tonic. Regular tonic water, even though it's tasty, can be packed with sugar. So using plain seltzer or club soda gives you that nice fizz without all the extra calories.
Right.
And the best part is you can totally experiment with flavors.
Oh, I love to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
What are some fun ways to add a little something extra to a seltzer-based gin and tonic?
Fresh garnishes are your best friend. Think cucumber slices, rosemary sprigs, maybe a squeeze of lime or grapefruit.
Ooh, I like that.
They add so much vibrancy and complexity without adding sugar or calories.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned before that dry wines are generally lower in calories, but the world of wine can be so confusing.
I know,
Are
right?
there any specific dry white wines you'd suggest?
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to dry white wines, Sauvignon Blanc is always a safe bet.
Okay.
It's known for its crispness, that refreshing acidity,
Mhm.
and it's typically pretty low in calories. Pinot Grigio is another great choice. It's light-bodied with those nice, subtle, fruity flavors. And then, of course, there's the classic Chardonnay, especially if you go for an unoaked variety.
So many good options. And what about red wines? Any standouts in the low-calorie category?
If you're looking for something light-bodied and low in calories, Beaujolais is fantastic. It's made from the Gamay grape, and it's known for its bright fruit flavors and low tannins. Another good one to try is Dolcetto. It's an Italian red that has kind of a bitter almond note, which is really interesting.
I'm writing all this down. Earlier, we were talking about making a lower-calorie martini by skipping the vermouth. I always thought vermouth was like a crucial ingredient in a martini. What does it actually do for the drink?
It's true. Vermouth is a traditional part of a martini. It adds a little herbal complexity and a hint of sweetness, which balances out the dryness of the gin or vodka. But it does add calories, so leaving it out gives you a very pure, spirit-forward martini experience.
Interesting. Some people might even like it better that way.
Exactly. It just depends on what you prefer. And speaking of preferences, when it comes to making a lower-calorie hot toddy, paying attention to the details is super important.
We talked about using less whiskey and honey, but what other little changes can make a big difference?
One of my favorite things to do is really enhance the flavors with spices. Cinnamon sticks, star anise, cloves,
Mm.
things like that.
Yeah.
They not only add warmth and this amazing aroma, but they also make you feel more satisfied with less sweetness. You could even try infusing the whiskey with the spices ahead of time to get even more flavor.
That's such a good idea. So it's not just about taking calories away, it's also about adding in those elements that make each sip feel special.
Exactly. And that's the whole idea behind healthy drinking, right? It's about enjoying yourself, but also being mindful of what you're putting in your body.
Well said. This has been so helpful. I'm actually feeling inspired to try making some of my own low-calorie cocktails at home.
That's fantastic. Experimenting is key. And another thing people tend to overlook when they're thinking about calories is the quality of the ingredients.
Oh, that's a good point. We get so focused on the numbers, but the ingredients themselves really do matter.
They make a huge difference. Choosing high-quality spirits, fresh juices, natural sweeteners, all of that can make the whole experience so much better for your taste buds and for your body.
Okay, this is all great advice. I'm taking notes.
Awesome. And, even beyond the specifics of what you're drinking, I think there's a helpful mindset shift you can make when it comes to healthy drinking in general.
I'm curious. Tell me more about this mindset shift.
It's about letting go of that all or nothing thinking. You don't have to choose between being totally strict all the time or letting loose and indulging every weekend. It's about finding that middle ground where you can enjoy those fun social moments, savor the flavors, but still make choices that align with your overall well-being.
I love that. It's like giving yourself permission to enjoy those moments, but in a way that feels good for you.
Exactly. And that's something that can apply to so many areas of life, not just drinking.
So true. This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break to refresh our glasses, but when we come back for the final part of our deep dive, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts, and I have a thought-provoking question to leave you pondering. Don't go anywhere. We're back for the final round of our low-calorie cocktail adventure. I feel like I've learned so much already.
Me too.
I'm definitely feeling more confident about making some healthier choices next time I'm out.
That's great.
You know, we've talked a lot about the calorie counts, which is obviously a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about, like, the bigger picture. Do different types of alcohol affect you differently, I mean, beyond just the calories?
That's a really good question, and I think it's something people don't always consider.
Right.
We've been focusing on calories today, but it's true that different drinks can have different effects on your body.
Totally.
Like some drinks might dehydrate you more than others, or they might mess with your sleep in different ways.
Yeah, that's so true. I've definitely noticed that. A glass of red wine at night might make me sleepy, but a margarita, forget about it, I'm up all night.
Exactly, and everyone's body reacts a little differently too, so it's important to pay attention to how you feel after different types of alcohol and make choices that work for you.
So it's not just about the numbers on the scale, it's really about how alcohol affects your body and your lifestyle as a whole.
Exactly, and that includes thinking about those mixers too.
Oh, right.
Like, are you using fresh juice or are you using sugary syrups? Are there artificial sweeteners or flavors hiding in your go-to cocktail? All of that stuff can make a difference in how you feel, both physically and mentally.
It's true, we were talking about swapping regular tonic for diet tonic and a gin and tonic,
Yeah.
but even within those diet options, there can be so many different ingredients and sweeteners.
Oh, yeah, for
It
sure.
can get kind of confusing.
It can, so it's always a good idea to take a look at those labels and know what you're actually drinking, even if it says low calorie or healthy.
Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
We've gone over the top 10 lowest calorie alcohols and cocktails. But beyond those specific drinks, what are some general strategies for making healthier choices when it comes to enjoying alcohol?
I think the key things to remember are moderation, mindfulness, and customization.
Okay, I like that.
Moderation in how much you're drinking, mindfulness in what you're drinking and how it affects you, and customization in terms of maybe making your own drinks at home with better ingredients.
I love that. Moderation, mindfulness, and customization.
Yeah.
Those are three really powerful tools for anyone who wants to enjoy a drink without, totally derailing their health goals.
Exactly. And don't forget about staying hydrated.
Oh, that's important.
Alternating those alcoholic drinks with water or non-alcoholic options can make a huge difference in how you feel the next day.
So true. Hydration is key, especially when you're drinking. Okay, before we sign off, I want to hear from our listeners. What are your go-to low-calorie drinks? What are your favorite swaps, tips, or recipes? Share them with us on social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
We love hearing from you guys and learning new ways to make delicious and healthy drinks.
Cheers to making mindful and enjoyable choices. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.